Our mission is to empower people to help them make good financial decisions. It's our job, our mission is to go out, educate people so that they can make an informed financial decision and get to where they want to be financially.
MFP specializes in really understanding who you are. What is your mission? What are you trying to accomplish? And we believe that everybody should make informed financial decisions. So our skill set is understanding who you are at your core, walking you through multiple options of the different ways that can get you to where you need to be. And then together, we will build that plan together. It might be a retirement income plan. It might be a legacy plan. It might be sending all your kids to college. It just might be saving money on taxes. But whatever is most important to you, we will build a plan that reflects that.
One of the biggest motivators for us as a firm is we want our clients to get to where they want to be. It's not just from we want to sell you something, right? It's we want to be an important part of the path that got you where you wanted to be.
When we say empower people, I'm really meaning like most people in financial services to get talked at, not talked to. So they talk at them and say, hey, you should do this, you should do that, instead of saying, hey, what's important to you about X, whatever that X is, that X factor that's important to you, and understanding them through their lens, and then saying, okay, here's how we can build something that'll get you to what you said was important, and here are the action steps that you need to take, because sometimes all problems can't be solved with one action.
We are helping people make informed financial decisions because ultimately, everybody has different goals, everybody has different things they're working towards, and there's nothing worse than trying to make a decision and you don't know what to do, right? Like maybe you're reading something, you don't even know what it means, right? And so our job is to help you make those informed decisions so you can confidently get to where you want to be.
The vision for Mission Financial Planners is ultimately to develop a network of like-minded fiduciary professionals, one that we're able to take care of all of our clients' needs. And we start with financial planning, but it's going to grow. And what's really exciting is we don't know exactly how it's going to grow. It might be everything from one day we're bringing in a Mission Financial individual that is helping with your P&C insurance, that's helping you with your real estate, purchasing investment properties or selling and buying your forever home. Whatever it is, if it takes good advice, I would love for one day that we provide that, and it's with somebody within our network. People and businesses should work with Mission Financial Planners ultimately because of the skill sets that each of us bring. Myself through the process, Matt through his ideas, Jason through his deep understanding of advanced plannings and the tax laws. All those together get our clients to a place that sometimes transcends their initial goals and expectations.
MFP is a culture of learners. That's just the culture of our business, is get better so we can make our clients better.
And the reason people should choose Mission Financial Planners is because we're holistic. We look at the whole picture. We're not just a portfolio manager. We do look at the whole picture. And that's why people should choose us.
Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Matt Donahue and Ken Hamilton with Mission Financial Planners. Thank you so much for taking time to join us tonight. We're really excited to have you here. Hopefully you'll learn a lot in tonight's presentation. Couple housekeeping items before we get started. First thing is your cameras are off, your microphones are off. That way you can be as comfortable as you want to be, as relaxed as you want to be. You could be feeding your steak to your dog and nobody will know, right? Nobody will know. So you just, again, be as comfortable as you want to be tonight. You can still ask questions though. And the way you'll do that is use the Q&A or the chat function. While I'm presenting, Ken's going to monitor that and answer questions in real time as we go. Ken will run a couple breakout sessions while he presents. I'll monitor and answer the questions as we go. So definitely make sure to ask questions. We want to make sure you've got that ability to get those questions answered. We're going to go for just about an hour. The first 5 minutes or so, we'll just kind of build on the video you just saw of who we are as a team, what do we do, and so on. And then we'll jump right into the topic. So with no further ado, Mission Financial Planners, our goal is really to help you make informed financial decisions. And we want to do that through education. And so as an example, I've been teaching Social Security classes now for about 15 years. I've taught financial advisors, insurance agents, CPAs, attorneys, the public, but education helps you make those informed decisions. And we all know that when you know what you're doing is the right thing for you, you're way more confident in that decision than you might otherwise be. And that's why we take an education first approach when we work with our clients. Here's the team that'll be working with you as you go through this retirement readiness series of workshops. And I will say this, it's always meant to be a kind of a friendly surprise. This is a series of workshops. This week is Social Security. I'll take you through what the other topics are going to be, but we're going to wrap up the whole series before Thanksgiving. So you don't have to worry about trying to juggle, oh, should I come to a class these guys are offering and deal with the holidays as well. So we have people from all over the state of Texas on tonight. We do work in 38 states. We are based right here in San Antonio, Texas. But if you do have friends or family that are in different parts of the country and you're thinking, wow, Matt, Ken, the team, they really know what they're doing and you should talk to them, let us know. I mean, you can see here's the 28 states that we work in, and those 22 that we don't, hey, I'll go to Hawaii for a client. You bet I will, right? So let us know, though. Let us know. It's easy for us to work in a state that we've never worked in before. Okay, what do we bring to the table? Well, we are all about providing great service for you. And as such, we know that we can't do it all. And I always try to remind people we're kind of like a doctor's office, right? You go to your general practitioner for your checkups, but once you have to have that certain thing done, you might be going to a dermatologist, right? An orthopedic specialist, OBGYN, right? I mean, there's so many different things. So we kind of view it the same way. Are we financial planning? You bet we are. We own the Valero Insurance Agency, which you can see on the upper right there. But then we partner with a lot of different groups. Malloy Management Group, they're a tax planning firm based in Dallas. Integrated Trust Systems is a law firm we use. Maxwell Leadership Association of Financial Educators, those two organizations are all about helping your organization from a Maxwell leadership standpoint. Leadership development for your management team or people who are aspiring to get into management. Association of Financial Educators, teaching classes like this to your staff so that they are able to make these informed financial decisions as well. Then when it comes to managing your money, well, we have a great relationship with an investment management firm called Kestra, and Fidelity is the firm we use to hold your money while we are managing it. And then we have several trust companies that we work with as well, because a lot of times there's trusts that need to be put into place or funded or things like that when we're working with our clients. So as you can see, we're very holistic in our approach. And part of that is we're a team of certified financial planners. And as certified financial planners, we have a fiduciary obligation to you to provide the best service that we can. And that also means saying, hey, you know what? Here's an attorney you should talk to because that issue is a little outside of my scope. The CFP, and I know we have people on staff who have been, or on staff, sorry, on tonight's call, who have had great professional careers. Pretty much every profession has some kind of process it follows. We're no different than that. So you can see here, it's really a 7-step process we follow with all of our clients. It's getting to know you, finding out what your goals are, analyzing what you've already done, right? And then taking a look at what some options are, put together a recommendation for you, present it to you, and then if you decide you want to take action, well, then we implement, and then over the years, we'll monitor to make sure the plan is doing what you want it to do. Part of that planning process is making sure that you have a good, solid understanding of some of the things we're working on. We help you with. So that's why I kind of teased it earlier. We offer a series of webinars to everyone who attends our Social Security planning. So today you're attending Savvy Social Security Planning for Women. Next Monday, we're going to offer a class on managing healthcare expenses in retirement. The focus of that class is Medicare and long-term care. We'll spend a lot of time talking about how they work. We'll spend a lot of time talking about what Medicare covers, what it doesn't cover, why should you have a long-term care plan? And you'll notice I said plan, I did not say policy, right? And a long-term care policy may make sense, but what's your plan for managing long-term care needs when they arise? Tax planning, that's going to be on the 13th. From a tax planning standpoint, your income in retirement is very different than your income while you're working. And because it's different, it's from different sources, it gets taxed differently. And you've got to have a good understanding of that. And finally, estate planning. You might not know this, but if you don't have a trust in place and let's say you died intestate, if your total estate is worth just $75,000, your estate has to go through probate in the state of Texas. Right? So estate planning, that's just one little example of, do I have my ducks in a row? What do I have to know about estate planning so that I can get through retirement, but then not leave a mess behind once me and my spouse are gone? Okay, but let's jump into it now. So why women? Why are we doing this? Well, for me, it's personal. If you look at the people on the screen in front of you now, on the left, there's a cute little baby being held by her parents way back in the 1940s, and that little baby is my mom. Now, you can see her on the right there, then playing in some long grass with one of her grandfathers. And what's interesting for me about my mom's experience, I shouldn't say interesting, it's tough actually. My mom grew up in a farming family in the Midwest, and she was the oldest child. And as soon as her little brother came along, her parents made it very clear to her that didn't matter how smart she was, how hard she worked, how strong she was, how disciplined she was, any of those things, she was not going to get the family farm at all. She was going to get nothing. They made that clear to her from day one. And why? Because she's a woman. It had nothing to do with any of that other stuff, right? It was all the fact that she's a woman. Now, hopefully none of you ladies have experienced something like that in your personal life, but I can almost promise, and I'll ask you to hit one of the emoji buttons, right? The little hand clapping maybe or whatever. Hit one of those buttons. I'm going to ask you this question. Hit one of those buttons if this has happened to you. You're going to make a big financial decision of some kind. Doesn't matter what it is. You happen to have a male companion with you. It could be your spouse, your dad, your brother, a friend, doesn't matter. But you're the one making the decision. You're the one with the money. You're the one who's going to have to deal with the consequences of this decision, right? And the person who's supposed to be helping you starts talking to him. How many of you have experienced that we can see we can kind of see the yeah, okay. So a bunch of you have, right? At a minimum, ladies, you're being frozen out of that conversation, right? And because you get frozen out of that conversation, how confident are you in that person, in that process, in that plan? You can't be, right? I mean, you just can't be, right? That person's not valuing you at all. So that bleeds into financial services, right? And when you think about confidence in retirement, women are not as confident as men. And then on top of that, unmarried women are nowhere close to being as comfortable or confident as men or married women are. And when you think about that from a planning standpoint, that shouldn't happen, right? And part of the issue again comes back to how you've been disregarded over the years. And this is a terrible quote. It's about 10 years old now. It comes from what was a major insurance company, or is a major insurance company. And just listen to how this sounds. It's just terrible. Women in general have greater concerns about their retirement security, yet do less than needed to plan for adequately addressing those concerns. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry that I was the glue in the family. I am so sorry I had a great career and juggled raising great kids. I am so sorry I did this, and this, and I didn't know what a Roth IRA was. Okay, right? That's, you know, it's putting it right back on you, right? So the realities you're dealing with as a woman, right? Lower lifetime earnings. Look, if you had kids and you took a year off, that's one less year of earnings, right? That can affect a pension. That might affect your Social Security. Maybe you missed a promotion because you were out of the workforce for a little bit, right? That translates into lower pensions, lower Social Security. But the other thing is, though, y'all do a better job of taking care of yourselves than we do as guys, which means you live longer, right? So less earnings, less pensions, less Social Security, but you live longer as well. Now, some people say, oh, well, I should probably work a few more years. You might want to work a few more years, but you certainly don't have to. And if you do, though, just go at it strategically, right? Think about the things you want to do with that extra year or two of work. Are you going to pay off some debt? Are you going to play catch up with retirement accounts? It's one or two or however many fewer years that you're actually drawing out of those retirement accounts. So that's a positive. And your Social Security, your pensions, things like that, it's more earnings going into those calculations that they use to figure out what you're going to get. So if you can do those things, hey, that's great. 1 year of this, and Ken and I went through this training, gosh, almost 5 or 6 years ago, but it was led by actuaries. And what they were able to really convincingly show us was that if you can do these 4 things for a year or two, 1 year of that is like adding 3 years of retirement income to your plan. So it can have a big effect, right? And, again, I'm not saying you have to work, but if you choose to, go at it strategically. Okay, let's jump into Social Security. Now, the value of your Social Security check. If you get $2,000 a month today and you live just 10 more years, you're going to get about $275,000 from Social Security. You live 20 years, you'll get about $600,000. You go 30 years, you're going to get just over $1 million. And that's assuming a 2% cost of living adjustment, which, by the way, is conservative and low. Few years back before interest rates went up, last year, people were like, in inflation, right? People are like, oh, Social Security never does cost of living adjustments. Social Security has, since the 70s, has always done cost of living adjustments. They track the consumer price index for workers, and that's what determines your cost of living adjustment. Next year, they're going to do a 3.2% COLA. Okay, so, low inflation, low raises, bigger inflation, bigger raises. And that $2,000 a month, hey, in 10 years at just 2% increases, it's $2,500 almost. In 20 years, it's about $3,000, and in 30 years, it's just over $3,600. Okay, our first breakout session is going to be, well, actually, all of our breakout sessions are going to get led by Ken, but Ken's here to lead our first breakout session. Ken, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. So in these breakout sessions, Matt's going to be primarily focused on the rules and the options you have. What we'll be looking at and focusing on are the real world applications and what are some of the upper and lower limits of each of these decisions we're making. So let's start with Social Security. And as each of y'all have an initial meeting scheduled with one of us, this is something that we can go over. It's one of the Social Security analyses that we run. So what we do is we plug Matt and Crystal, lovely wife Crystal, were kind enough to give us their information. So we plugged in their data. Both of them have longevity, so we accounted for that. And the software then spits out all the biggest options. What happens if both of them were to claim early? What happens if both claimed at full retirement age? Jumping all the way to what is the most they can get out of Social Security. Now, that's one of the first things we want to look at is between these options, how much could I get on the smallest amount and how much could I get on the largest? Now, every household's different and should have this analysis performed because sometimes it's negligible. Sometimes it can literally be $800,000, $900,000 difference. For Matt and Crystal, if both were to claim early, it's about 2.4. If they were to maximize, it'd be about 2.7. Now that's a $300,000 difference. Now this is a big plug for next week. And when we're talking about Medicare and long-term care, the reason why is the average household today should expect to spend about $300,000 plus or minus on just medical expenses. So another way of saying that is by changing your Social Security claiming decision, you could fully fund all of your medical needs. The other thing I want you to notice is how much money is Matt and Crystal getting from the Social Security Administration? $2.4 million if both of them live to full life expectancy. Think about the last article you read talking about Social Security. Was it bragging that you might get 7 figures from that? I mean, yes, we've all paid into it and we've put a lot into it, but they're not, shouting it from the rooftop that you could be getting $2.5 million from it. One of the things that this analysis will also perform is what's known as a break even. How long do I need to live for me to maximize it, make sense for me? Now, there's a ton of reasons why you should look at this, but you should not base your decisions off of it. And that's actually a big plug for my next breakout session overall. But the last thing I want to leave you with is, and Matt will be talking about this more in just a moment, is that your Social Security doesn't just impact you, yourself. It also has an impact on your partner. Because by claiming early might mean less survivorship options for your surviving spouse. By one of you delaying might mean more money being left to your partner. Now, this is probably the biggest difference we see with the households we work with, is that could be a reduction of 50 or 60% of what their fixed income was coming in from Social Security. So be very mindful about this and ask yourself, if you haven't had these conversations before, why? If you have a financial professional you're working with or in the past, why hasn't that been discussed? And this is why we come from the stance of educating. We need to understand why we're picking the early option or the late option. And with all the households we work with, it's a pretty even distribution of those that claim early or claim late, but it's always strategic. Matt, anything you'd like to add?
No, that's the thing, is people are usually surprised at how much Social Security can potentially pay out. It's almost always they're surprised.
Right.
So thank you, Ken. All right, let's talk about some rules and strategies. Like Ken said, when you're trying to understand all this, there's some basic questions you need to be able to ask yourself. The first one is, do you qualify for benefits on your own work record? So in other words, did you pay into Social Security for at least 10 years? Second one, are you currently married and has your spouse started getting their benefit? If so, what are they getting? And then have there been any prior marriages, but more importantly, how did the marriage end? Was it because somebody passed away or y'all got a divorce? And the reason that's important is because the rules are very different when a marriage ends as a result of someone dying versus getting a divorce. And we'll go through those. Now, one thing I want you to remember, even though there's 4 potential benefits that you are eligible for, you only get one benefit at a time. So just as an example, let's say my wife makes more money than I do. She files for a benefit. I'm now eligible to file as her spouse and get a spousal benefit. But I also have my own benefit, right? I have to choose, do I want my spousal benefit or my own benefit, right? I can't take both at the same time. Let's say my wife dies before me. I could take her survivor benefit or keep my current benefit, but I can't take both at the same time. So just remember that, right? It's one benefit at a time per person. A couple key definitions for you. Full retirement age, that's the age where you get 100%. Okay, there's no more discounts for taking it early or anything like that. There's no bonuses for going past then, but full retirement age, that's the age at which you get 100%. Some people on this call were born in the 50s. You can see the breakdown in front of you. Those of you born 1960 or later, full retirement age for you is going to be 67. Your primary insurance amount is the dollar amount that you're going to get at that point in time. And that dollar amount again, is going to vary based on when you file. So you can see with this chart on the right-hand side here, if you file early at 62, you don't get as much money. If you wait till 70, you get a lot more money. What you're getting is your retirement benefit. Now, to calculate your retirement benefit, what you'll do is just go to Social Security's website and pull a copy of your statement. You don't have to, I mean, you have to create a, an account there, but you're not going to get those mailed to you. Social Security no longer mails out statements, okay? You can always call and request it as well, but it's usually a little better, a little easier to just do it online and get a copy of your statement. So I basically said this, but just to reinforce the point, your retirement benefit really does depend on when you file. So here's an example. If you file before your full retirement age, you can see you can file as early as age 62. If you do that, you get a 30% reduction on your benefits. That reduction gradually decreases if you file at 63, 64, 65. But just remember, if I filed at 62 and I got that 30-point reduction, I'm always going to have that 30-point reduction. Always. I can't get away from it. Okay. It will even affect spousal benefits that I try to apply for when my spouse files. Okay. So, and the reason I bring that up, we have a lot of people who will ask, well, can't I file on my own and then get a bigger spousal benefit later? Can't I file for a spousal benefit now and get my own bigger benefit later? Social Security tracks the day you filed, and that decision is going to follow you. And it's going to affect all your benefits with the exception of survivor benefits. For the rest of your life. If you choose to wait, really all this slide's trying to tell you is if you choose to wait, yes, you get 8% delayed credits for each year that you wait past full retirement age, but don't forget, you also get cost of living adjustments too. So for example, next year, like I said, the cost of living adjustment is going to be 3.2%. Well, if you're 69 going to 70, right, you're going to get that 8% delayed credit for waiting that extra year, but you're also going to get the cost of living adjustment. So your benefit's actually going to go up by 11.2%. Okay, so those COLAs, right, they can really magnify that decision to wait. And if you have longevity in your family, and Ken pointed out, we've got a lot of longevity in my family. My wife's grandmothers are in their mid 90s, both still live at home. My mom's parents made it to, her dad made it almost to 97. Her mom made it to 90. Her grandma made it to, 99, right? My dad worked till he was 78, is now 85. My mom's 80. There's a lot of longevity on both sides of our family, right? So if I'm thinking about how do I maximize income in my 90s, right? Because I've got a good statistical chance of getting there. Well, hey, if I file at 62 and I get those $2,000 a month COLAs, well, when I'm 95, I'm getting about $2,700 a month. If I waited till full retirement age, I get about $3,800 a month. And if I go till 70, I'm getting about $4,800 a month. Those are big differences. That's almost a $30,000 difference at that point. Will I need the money? I don't know. That's 45 years from now. Who knows what's going to happen over those next 45 years? But I might want the money, right? So if you have longevity in your family, plan for this, right? Plan for this. The decisions you make now will have a huge impact later on in life. Don't forget the cost of living adjustments. You file early, you get 2% or whatever you get of a smaller number. You wait maybe till 70, maybe, maybe not, but if you go till 70, you get 2% on a much bigger number, right? And that's every year. That will directly affect your survivor benefits as well. Okay, your spouse, when you die, if you're the big income earner, your spouse can now go get 100% of your benefits if they wait at least until their full retirement age to file. Okay, that's the key. They have to wait till their full retirement age to file for that survivor benefit. Well, folks, if you have the smaller benefit because you filed early, they're going to have a smaller survivor benefit. It's just the way it works. So that decision is not just going to affect you, it could affect your spouse. One real strong reason not to file early, no matter what, is if you're working, okay? And you can see here, there's a reduction that occurs on your benefits if you have earned income. So if you work, $1 in benefits gets withheld for every $2 that you earn over $21,240. Do the math on that. If you're making, between $60,000 and $70,000 a year, and you file before full retirement age, you're not going to get a penny from Social Security, and all you're doing is locking in a lower filing age. So there's no reason to file before full retirement age if you're still working. I've mentioned spousal benefits a little bit, so let's talk about those and how those work. So the spousal benefit is half of your spouse's full retirement age benefit if you apply at full retirement age. Okay, you'll see here it's not in big print, but it says underneath there, and your spouse has to have filed. So as an example, I'm 5 years, almost 6 years older than my wife. Well, maybe I'm waiting till 70 to file. Okay, I wait till 70. She's 64 when I file. Could she file for a spousal benefit at that point? You bet she could. When I was 69 and I hadn't filed yet and she's 63, could she file for a spousal benefit? No, because I have not filed yet. Okay, so that's how that works. Here's an example, Jill and Jack. Jill's the bigger income earner. She has a $2,400 a month benefit. She files, and if it's at full retirement age, she's getting $2,400. If Jack waits till his full retirement age and he files as her spouse, he is now going to get $1,200 a month. Okay. If you file before full retirement age, you can see the first bullet point under that. It says you will receive your own reduced benefit first. Okay. Your own reduced benefit first. So that is how they track it, right? So here's an example, and this is a question we get all the time. So if you're going to take notes on any slide, this might be one for those of you who are married. So we got Jill and Jack. Her benefit's $2,400, his is $800. He filed at 62, so he's getting the 30% reduction, which means he's getting $560 a month. Jill goes to file. Jack waits till his full retirement age. He goes to file because he thinks he's going to get $1,200 a month now that Jill has filed. He thinks he's going to go from $560 to $1,200. Well, he's not going to go to $1,200. Is he going to get a little bit of a bump? He is. He's going to go up to $820, but he's not going to get half of her benefit. And why? The reason why is because he filed at 62. That reduction followed him. Okay, so if you're trying to maximize benefits, you're trying to juggle, hey, I need some money now versus later, right? Keep in mind that early decision can mess things up a few ways around. Okay, divorces, basic rules on divorces. Marriage was at least 10 years. You are currently unmarried. If the ex is at least 62 and the divorce was more than 2 years ago, it doesn't matter if your ex is filed or not. You can get a divorce spouse benefit. And a question I get all the time from people is, well, wait, my ex has married 2 other people since I was with him or her. What does that mean? Hey, if each one of those marriages lasted 10 years, all of those ex-spouses are eligible for a spousal benefit if they follow these other rules. It's the way it works. It's the way it works. Now, the nice thing for you, and I won't take you through the example here, but I'll just hit these 3 bold bullet points at the bottom. The nice thing for you, if you're that spouse filing for the divorce spouse benefit, your ex will never know. Okay, Social Security will not tell your ex. Your ex's benefits will not be affected. And if your ex has remarried, your ex's current spouse, their benefits won't be affected. If there's a divorce, another divorce spouse out there getting a divorce spouse benefit, their benefits won't be affected. Nobody's benefits are affected. And the reason it works that way is Social Security, I do think this is a positive thing. That's kind of protection for some people, right? Because, hey, you never know why some marriages end, right? If it ended really, really badly, maybe you really don't want that person coming back into your life for any reason, right? Well, Social Security will not be an inadvertent invitation for someone to come after you for some reason. Okay, so we've talked filing, some terminology, spousal benefits, divorces. Ken, what are we doing on the breakout session?
We're going to be talking about taxes.
Oh no. Okay. I'll refresh myself here. Good luck, everybody.
All right.
All right.
So everybody, if you are taking notes, this is something that I would strongly encourage you to jot down. Social Security is a tax-advantaged income source. I'll repeat myself. Social Security is a tax-advantaged income source. Worst case scenario, 15% of your Social Security is guaranteed to be tax-free. So 15% of it's going to be tax-free. Would you want your Social Security to be smaller or larger? I don't know. With that being said, and this may or may not apply to your household, but through strategic planning and sequencing your income in a way that is also tax advantaged, we might be able to get 50% of your Social Security to be income tax free, if not 100. Now, let's take a look at this couple A and couple B. Both want $90,000 a year of pre-tax income. Now, couple A, they claim Social Security early. So they're getting $45,000 from Social Security. Now, to supplement that, like most Americans, they have IRAs. So they're going to pull the other $45,000 to get to 90 from a traditional IRA, which is fully taxable. Couple B maximize their Social Security, and so they're getting $70,000. And so to supplement to get them to the 90, they only need to take 20. So it's the same 90,000 pre-tax. Now, there's a couple of ways to test this, and I'm not going to bore you with the different options, but I want you to notice with the adjusted gross income. The adjusted gross income is what you pay your taxes on. Now, for the couple A, who took Social Security early and is getting 45 from their IRA, their adjusted gross income is $70,000. Now, couple B is getting the same 90. Their adjusted gross income is $35,000. We've cut their taxable income effectively in half. And this is just one of the many strategies that we utilize, or at least take a look at, to see if it makes sense. Is it worth the time, energy to bring your taxable income down? It might be something you're interested in, maybe not, but taxes can be a huge difference maker over the quality of your retirement. And that's a plug for 2 weeks from now, when we're going to be talking about taxes throughout retirement. Matt? Oh, you're on mute, bud. It's not a webinar without somebody talking
at
on
least
mute.
one, right? So a quick question came in about break-even analysis, and I answered the question, but and I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question because I know the answer, but I'd love to hear you talk about it.
Sure.
When you factor in taxes, does the break-even analysis, is it still valid?
Yeah, that's for a number of reasons. That's the fallacy of the break even, is that, oh, it's going to work out, as long as I have to pass away at this point for it to make sense. Not when you factor in taxes, not when you factor in how you're going to have to supplement the income because of a smaller benefit and the taxes that's going to generate. The break even is really just something just to glance at, to have a rough understanding, but it should, in my opinion, should not be the basis of any claiming decision overall. Because when you factor in taxes, other income sources, longevity, all that goes to the wayside. Thanks for asking that, Matt.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Okay, let's talk survivor benefits. What happens when somebody dies? Well, first, two things to note. The benefit is based on when did that person originally file, and then when does the survivor file for the survivor benefit. That's what drives the numbers. So here's an example. Jill and Jack again, she's got a $2,400 a month benefit. Let's say she waited all the way till 70. She's getting her, $29.76 a month. She's getting all that because that's the delayed credits and all that's added in. But then she dies. Okay. If she dies and she has that age 70 benefit, all Jack has to do is wait till his full retirement age. He files at that point, he can get 100% of what she was getting. He just has to be full retirement age or older when he files, right? But if she had filed at 62, the most Jack would ever be able to get is about 80% of what she was getting. That's of her primary insurance amount. So it has a direct impact on survivors, and guys, especially for the guys on this call, if you were the higher income earner, you've got to have an open mind about this, because you don't have the longevity expectations that your spouse does. And you've got to make sure that, hey, we have a good understanding of what's going to happen when the first person passes, so the survivor has that bigger benefit. Okay, so here's just a chart that kind of breaks all this down for you. If you look in the middle there where it says Jack's survivor benefit if Jill had claimed at 62, You can see Jack could file as early as age 60, and that's fine. He can do that, but he's only going to get, roughly 70% of her full retirement age benefit. But look what happens though. She filed at 62. See what happens when he turns 63, where he can get 82.5% of her benefit. That's the most he's ever going to be able to get. Okay. Now, what happens if Jill had filed at 70? Well, maybe Jack's younger than her. Maybe he's 10 years younger than her. Okay. She dies at 70. Well, okay. If he applies at 60, he'll get about 70%. But look at how the numbers every year go up. So maybe he works till he's 64 and then he retires and then he switches or he gets the survivor benefit. Well, he's going to get $2,600 a month. He's going to get about 90%. If he can go to 67, he'll get 100%. Okay. So this is something that is, I think, super important to understand, because your benefit, especially for those of you with the bigger benefit, it doesn't matter, right? It just, whoever dies first, the survivor is the person who's going to get those bigger numbers. So think about that, right? Just think about it. Just remember, you can take it as early as age 60. The thing is, you do have to have been married at least 9 months, unless death was the result of an accident. So hopefully there's no accidents tonight. And here's how it'll really work when this happens. So here we're with Jill and Jack again. She waited till 70. She's getting, roughly $3,000 a month. He's getting $1,200. He waited till full retirement age to file as her spouse. He's getting half of her full retirement age benefit. Household income is about $4,200. She dies. Jack will start getting her benefit and stop getting the smaller benefit. So what I want you to take away from this slide is, when the first person dies, so does the smaller benefit. Household income in this case drops from $4,200 down to $3,000. Okay. Plan for that, right? That's $15,000 less a year. It's $15,000 tax advantaged income less a year. Most households only see a 5 to 10% drop in spending when the first spouse dies. Okay, so this can have a big impact. Remember what Ken said in the last breakout session. It can mess up your taxes. Okay, it can really mess up your taxes, because the IRS does not like single filers at all, right? All the numbers suddenly come down to here. You're going to need as much tax advantaged income as you can once your spouse is gone, not just to pay the bills, but to make sure you don't have to pay as big of a tax bill every year as well. Okay, divorced spouses work the same way. Just remember, for survivor benefits, and this applies to survivor benefits only, okay? If you get remarried after the age of 60, you can still get the survivor benefit from that ex-spouse of yours. If you got remarried after the age of 60, or you are currently unmarried, okay? So maybe first marriage ended in a divorce, or maybe somebody died, right? And then second marriage ended in a divorce. Hey, great, you're currently unmarried, right? You are currently unmarried. So that's the thing, right? As soon as you're 60, again, you're going to be eligible. I said this a couple times. I'll say it one last time. Just remember, whoever has the bigger benefit, that's the person that you want to have wait. One last thing on survivor benefits. You can switch benefits. This is the only switching strategy that's still available with Social Security. So essentially what happens is this: your spouse dies, you can take the smaller benefit first. So maybe your benefit isn't as much as the survivor benefit. So you take your benefit first, you let the survivor benefit get as big as it's going to get, and then you switch over to the survivor benefit. Flip that around. Maybe the survivor benefit's a smaller number, and your number at 70 is way bigger than that. Okay, take the survivor benefit now, wait till 70, and then switch and get your bigger benefit at that point in time. You can do that. You can do that, okay? And just know, you can file for a survivor benefit as early as age 60, but just remember, please remember, that withholding I talked about, where if you're working and you're making about $70,000 a year or so, that will apply, and that applies all the way through your full retirement age. Okay, so you hit your full retirement age, the withholding goes away, you can work, you can get a survivor benefit, wait for your bigger benefit to turn on. You can do that, but just remember, if you're working, that withholding I talked about is still going to apply. Okay. Remarriage. If you get remarried at any age, it cancels out the divorce benefits unless that marriage ends. You got to be unmarried to get divorce spouse benefits. Okay. If you remarry before 60, it cancels out the survivor benefits, right? Because now you're married to this new person, your benefits are married to this new person as well, basically. However, if you get remarried after 60, it will not affect survivor benefits that you're eligible for based on a previous marriage. Okay. So just, that can get a little confusing. If that's something that we need to talk about one-on-one, we're happy to talk about that one-on-one. Okay, so just quick summary here for you. Don't forget about the switching if your spouse passes, and please just remember that first spouse dies, that smaller benefit's going to stop, and just plan for it, right? Just plan for it. That's all you got to do. Okay, Ken, what are we doing in our last breakout session?
We're going to be talking about planning.
All right.
Let's get the screen up. Yep. Okay. So we are Mission Financial Planners. Yes, we help our clients manage their assets. Yes, we help develop income strategies. Yep. Yes, we talk about taxes. But at the end of the day, the real question you should be asking yourself is, how does it all fit together? And so what we're looking at is a household we helped earlier. It was earlier this year that we built this particular strategy. And one of the first things we did is, as Matt talked about at the beginning, is what's your baseline? If you keep doing exactly what you're doing, what is your projection? And that's the dotted red line that we're looking at. So how's your net worth projected to change over your retirement? How much reliable income is coming in? And we define reliable income of things like Social Security. What's your rental income? Do you belong to any pensions? How much of your income do you want to be reliable, especially with the kind of volatility we've experienced over the last 5 years and that we're likely to experience over the next 5 and 20 years? What's your withdrawal rate, and what's a healthy amount for you and your household, as well as what's our overall buffer? So this household, by most measures, had a good strategy. They had a healthy withdrawal rate. They were going to be leaving about $7 million of assets behind at the end of their plan. Friendly reminder, that's tomorrow dollars. So, cut that in half, if not more, when thinking about inflation in today's dollars. But by most measures, they had a good plan. But all of their goals and aspirations wouldn't have been accounted for with that. Also, when we look at the total amount they were going to be paying in taxes, projected to be about $3.6 million. So by layering in some of our proprietary process, by layering in some of our strategies and tools and ideas, what was the impact? Well, instead of $3.6 million in taxes, because you can't avoid taxes, we were able to projected to reduce it to about by $1.6 million. We reduced their Medicare premiums because, again, plug for next week, we'll be talking about how your Medicare is changed based off of your modified adjusted gross income. So if we can reduce that, we can also reduce some of your Medicare expenses. We saved this household about $100,000. Now, okay, yes, we saved 1.6. Yes, we saved potentially 100 on Medicare. So do I just add that to the end of the plan? No. But because by adding in these efficiencies, we effectively increased their net worth from 7 to now 18 million. An additional $11 million was projected to be left behind just by adding in some of these strategies. Again, they might be something that would work for you. They might not. I don't know. It's maybe something you're interested in. Again, we don't know. That's why we have that initial meeting scheduled. But one of my favorite conversations I've ever had with a household was like, so Ken, I need to leave all 18 million behind? And the answer is no. It's just by doing some of these steps, we were able to reduce expenses, increase your net worth. Well, now let's plug in some of those additional vacations. Let's plan that RV. Let's plan for tithing extra money to your church or the charity of your choice. again, so some of the best planning is some of the best decisions you can make is going through the financial planning process, because 1 + 1 + 1 can equal 10, right? And that's where planning, a proper plan, can transcend even your own expectations. Anything like to add, Matt?
No, folks, the value in the plan is doing the planning. Believe it
Mhm.
or not, that's the value, because it helps you uncover some of these efficiencies Ken's talking about. And the question that you want to ask yourself, especially those of you who work with a different financial advisor at this point, is why are you here? Right? Why aren't they talking with you about these things? And one of the things I hear from a lot of people when I ask that question is, well, I haven't asked them. I've been with them a long time, but I've never brought it up. That's not your job in that relationship, right? Your job in the relationship is to be their client, and their fiduciary responsibility to you is to make sure that you're informed and they're helping you make good decisions, which means being proactive.
Mhm.
Folks, if you're comfortable with someone else but they have never brought some of this stuff up to you, you really do need to reconsider that relationship. You really do. Because they should absolutely be um, proactive in all of this. Okay, last couple things. Just a quick recap. Advice by marital status. Hey, if you're currently married, coordinate, coordinate, coordinate. It doesn't happen that often, but every now and then we meet a couple where somebody filed, the other person had no input, right? So coordinate, right? Don't forget, the smaller benefit goes away when the first person dies, right? Just remember that. If you're divorced, don't get remarried till after 60. I'm kidding. Um, but maybe not, right? But that's the thing. If you're divorced, don't forget you've got divorce spouse benefits out there you can take advantage of. If you get remarried before 60, it'll cancel out the divorced spouse benefit. But if you get remarried after 60, it will not cancel out the survivor benefit. Okay. If you've never been married, I hear this a lot from people who have been single their whole life. This workshop didn't really apply to me because I'm single. Um, Actually, all of this applies to you. It's just an easier conversation because you're not trying to figure out all this stuff with the other person, right? It's just, hey, okay, what are my benefits? What does my analysis tell me to do? How are those taxes going to be? How is that tax advantage income going to affect my plan? What other things do I need to put in place to make sure I am able to make the best decision I can at the time, right? All those questions still apply to you, right? It's just, you don't have a spouse maybe muddling up the view for you. So a couple last thoughts before we wrap up. If you have any longevity in your family, please, please, please plan for it. Um, a prudent person would plan for longevity if they've experienced. How do you know you have longevity in your family? If just one of your parents or grandparents, all 6 of those people, if just one of those people made it into their 90s, you need to plan for living into your 90s. It's inflation adjusted income. It'll be there as long as you live. Guys, I hear this all the time from people. Oh, Social Security is not going to be there. It's going to go bankrupt. It's all this and that. Social Security and Medicare are by far the 2 most popular federal government programs. They've got $100 billion for Ukraine and Israel. They've got money to be able to fix Social Security. They just do. And any politician in either party, in any party, who thinks that they're going to get rid of Social Security is just going to get rid of themselves as a politician, because their career will be over. So Social Security is going to be there. You saw a lot of future projections tonight, right? And what that really drives is that third bullet point, the decisions you're making in your 50s and 60s, that directly sets up what income is going to look like for you later on in life. We already talked about delaying a lot. I'm not going to go in there. Don't forget about the spousal and survivor benefits, where you could maybe take the smaller one first and then take the bigger one later. And then finally, like Ken talked about just in this last breakout session, make sure you make those decisions within the context of your plan. So this is step one. Congratulations for joining us on this process or on this journey. This is step one. Hopefully you're feeling a little more empowered, right? And hopefully you're seeing that, hey, we mean it when we say we're going to teach you about a lot of this. So next Monday is going to be managing healthcare expenses in retirement. Same format. We'll get started at 6:30. We'll send out a meeting link in the afternoon. You are going to hear from us this week to follow up on this workshop, confirm your time for your one-on-one meeting that you're doing with either me, Ken, or Andrew. And then on top of that, to confirm for next Monday as well. The 13th is tax planning. The 20th is estate planning. But with that, we won't take any more of your time tonight. You all were a fantastic audience. Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to reach out if you do have any questions. But otherwise, have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.